Picture this. You're staring at your laptop. The email you need to send is short, 2 sentences. You even care about it, and yet your hand won't move. Meanwhile, your brain is suddenly fascinated by the history of paper clips, the exact shade of the wall, and whether you remembered to buy toothpaste. You're not relaxing, you're wrestling. So here's the puzzle. How can someone be smart, motivated, and genuinely trying and still feel like their attention has a mind of its own? Why does just do it sometimes work and sometimes bounce off like a rubber ball? A big part of the answer lives in a chemical most people have heard of, dopamine, but not in the simple dopamine equals pleasure way. Dopamine is more like your brain's worth it signal. It helps tag things as important, urgent, or rewarding enough to spend effort on. It's the little spark that helps your brain shift from thinking about a task to actually initiating it. In ADHD, the issue isn't a lack of character. It's often a difference in how the brain regulates that worth it signal, especially in networks that connect the front of the brain, which does planning, with deeper areas that handle motivation, reward, and habit. Think of it like this. Most brains have a fairly steady dimmer switch that keeps the room lit. An ADHD brain can be more like a motion sensor light. When something is novel, interesting, or urgent, click, the lights blaze on. But when something is routine, delayed, or has a fuzzy payoff, like do this now so future you won't be stressed later, the light can flicker. You're still in the room. You're just squinting. That's why ADHD can look so confusing from the outside. You can hyperfocus for 3 hours on something you love, then feel physically stuck on a 5-minute chore. It's not that the person can focus. It's that focus is being pulled by reward and immediacy, not pushed by intention. This also explains the classic, "I work best under pressure" thing. Deadlines create urgency, and urgency is like pouring fuel on that motivation system. Suddenly, the task feels real, and your brain gets the message now. But without that urgency, the same task can feel oddly distant, like it belongs to a future version of you. And it's not just attention. Dopamine is tied to time perception and emotional regulation too. When the brain doesn't reliably tag a task as worth it right now, you can get delay avoidance. Your mind slides away from things that feel boring, ambiguous, or hard to start. Add in big emotions, frustration, shame, overwhelm, and the system can lock up even more. Not because you're dramatic, because emotions are also signals, and ADHD brains often experience those signals louder and faster. So why does this matter? Because people with ADHD often grow up collecting the wrong explanation, lazy, careless, not living up to potential. When you hear that enough, you start to build your life around guilt and last-minute heroics. And that's exhausting. Here's the reframe, the aha that changes everything. ADHD isn't a deficit of motivation. It's an inconsistency in access. The motivation engine can roar, but the ignition is picky. It starts easiest when the task has one of a few keys: interest, challenge, novelty, urgency, or immediate payoff. When those keys aren't present, starting can feel like pushing a car uphill with the parking brake on. That's also why support strategies work when they change the signal, not the person. Make the task more immediate. Break it into a first tiny step that creates momentum. Add external structure, timers, reminders, accountability, so urgency isn't always last second. Reduce friction so the start cost is lower than the avoid cost. And for some people, clinical treatment, including coaching, therapy, and sometimes medication, can help the brain send that worth it signal more consistently. And maybe the gentlest insight is this. If your brain keeps chasing dopamine, it's not chasing fun. It's chasing clarity. It's chasing a moment where the world snaps into focus and effort finally feels possible. So the next time you see ADHD behavior, your own or someone else's, try this thought instead of judgment. This isn't about willpower. It's about signals. And signals can be redesigned. Because when the worth it message gets through, an ADHD brain isn't broken. It's often brilliant, fast, creative, intensely alive. It just needs a world that speaks its language.